from the sheet, Jeff, Marek. It's been a while, sir.
Gentlemen, how are you? So you know what I love about, there's a number of things that I love about the playoffs, a number of things we all love about the playoffs, but one of the things that I'm always reminded of in the playoffs is bullies win.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, like, look at what the Florida Panthers are doing to the Tampa Bay Lightning. And you're right, like, Tampa might be second, third best team in the entire NHL. It doesn't matter. They are getting bullied. You look at what turned that Washington-Montreal series back in Washington. Tom Wilson's hit on Carrier. Like, say what you want. Like, at the end of the day, this is still a rough, violent game played by dangerous men on blades of steel. Like, this is a very, very rough fight. We all celebrate the skill, and that's all great too. But there are investment suspensions, there are investment penalties, and there is a lot of bullying that goes on. Now, the counter to all that, which I really hate, and I was mentioning this on the show yesterday, I led with it. One thing that I can't stand, even though I know why they do it and I get it and it's rewarded and you do it and you draw a penalty and the coach gives you a cookie when you go back to the bench, and every team is guilty of it every single night. Man, the diving's bad this year, guys.
We're seeing lots.
The diving this year is awful. And I hate to be that my sport is better than your sport guy, because all sports are different and tough and challenging in their own ways. But I've always sort of prided, this sport on, these guys don't dive. Like, they'll embellish a little bit to try to draw penalties. I get it. But it's worse than it's ever been. And the minute you open that door a little bit, someone just comes crashing through. And I just hope that somewhere this season it stops. Maybe it's just the officials need to call it more, embarrass some guys. I don't know what it's going to take, but you guys watch all the games. Am I wrong here? It's every team, every single night. It's not just like, oh, look at Tim Stützle. He's the new Bill Barber. No, it's not that anymore. Like, it's everybody, every single night.
Well,
that's my gripe of the day.
Power plays are so huge. We've seen
totally
win you a game. And so guys are saying, I'll do whatever it takes to win. Like, you talk about bullying, you talk about intimidation, goading the official into a call. I mean, look, it's not as sexy, but if it gets your team a power play goal that wins the game, well, let's go.
Yeah.
But it's a tough look.
A question I have. There was a commentator saying how there's no place in the game for intimidation and we can't play.
Oh, yes, there is.
And I'm completely okay. So we're all in agreement that
yes, there
crazy.
Is.
Like,
yes, there is.
Get out of here. Because we enjoy watching playoff hockey.
Yes.
And
there's different kinds of intimidation too, right? Like, your power play is intimidating. Like, you look at, maybe one of the best examples of intimidation, physical intimidation, where the Philadelphia Flyers of the 74-75, they win the Stanley Cup, and it's Schultz and it's Dog and it's Hammer, and like it's a pack of dogs, right? But there's a good skating team as well and a good passing team. But nonetheless, their accent was on physicality. It was the Montreal Canadiens that beat them, and they intimidated. Well, they did have some tough players that could push back, but they pushed back with a power play and an offense and a blue line that would scare the hell out of you. You did not want to put the Montreal Canadiens on a power play, and you were physically scared to take the puck over the blue line. Larry Robinson, still to this day, one of the most underrated, tough, skilled defensemen ever, period. So there's a number, and we see this in the game all the time, right? I mean, you look at look at the last game between the Oilers and the Kings. Gavrikov gets that penalty. Everybody knows the Oilers are scoring, and everybody knows it's going to be a Leon Draisaitl one-timer. It's almost an automatic.
Like, Gavrikov is facing the other
end.
McDavid's trying to cut around him, and I
do it.
That all the momentum in the building is with the Oilers, who are running roughshod. It's a 2.5-minute shift. Gavrikov doesn't even know McDavid's there, never mind tripping him. I've never seen an unintentional trip where it's McDavid trying to jump around a guy who's dog tired. And I'm like, you've swallowed your whistles for how long? And this is where you're going to break your oath of silence? Come on.
I know. It's funny too, because I looked at, I don't know. Are there moments in the game? Jay Woodcroft, when he was the assistant coach with the Detroit Red Wings. So under Babcock, the Red Wings were better at one thing than anybody else in the NHL. And Woodcroft said we used to call them 1-minute penalties. 1-minute penalties, which is we're going to set these tiny little pick plays that totally stops the other team in our zone or their zone. It's going to be tiny little pick plays that the referee will look at and say, that's not really a call. It's sort of a call. We'd send guys out there and say, take a 1-minute penalty. It's a little skating pick that you set on a guy. When I saw Gavrikov and McDavid, my first thought was, I'm not sure if I'm comfortable with that being a 2-minute penalty, but if there was a 1-minute penalty, okay, but you can't call that. And the Detroit Red Wings were the best, like that's the Zetterberg era, at taking 1-minute penalties, which is obviously never going to be called, but it doesn't rise to the occasion of the full 2 minutes. But I saw Gavrikov and McDavid, and I thought, I'm comfortable with a 1-minute penalty, but you can't call that. I don't know that I like that as a 2. I really don't. But the minute that happens, like we see the momentum, and this is going to be almost automatic, and that is the Oilers intimidating with their power play. But I'm talking about like what the Florida Panthers are doing here. Like that is, and it's everybody, and everybody grows. Like, put it this way: if the Florida Panthers hadn't played the way that they play right now, and hadn't been doing it for a number of years, and didn't have the personnel, do you think that Aaron Ekblad on a different Florida Panthers team makes that same decision? No,
probably not. That's part of their DNA, isn't it?
But that's Panthers, right? Rhett, you know, man, you know, like you grow when you're surrounded by a bunch of guys. And the interesting thing about that is Tampa's the one team that when you hit one of them, they all pounce. And it doesn't matter who's on the ice. Anthony Cirelli doesn't matter. He's first guy and he's pouncing. And then everybody else comes in. Kucherov, Stamkos, previously Stamkos, like they would all just jump you if you did anything to a Tampa Bay Lightning team. Now Florida is out Tampa-ing the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Could you tell us about, like, because we watch, and I think the first round is so special. We all love it. A, there's so much hockey. B, you know, we see that intensity ratcheted up. It's like Treliving always talked about it. You got to build a team in the regular season that can get you in, but then you also have to have a team that plays almost like quite differently to win in the playoffs. It's officiated differently. Guys are running through walls. Tell me about the intensity playing game 76 versus game 1 of a series, because it just feels night and day in this sport.
Yeah, it's not the same. It's not. We can all watch it and see it.
Yeah.
Even though there's playoff runs and there were good teams trying to get in the playoffs, and that was good hockey. It's not the same as opening minute of playoff hockey.
So when we talk about
the noise of the crowd, the fact that the refs stay out of the way for the most part, I think it makes for more entertaining hockey, and the desire to win. Because it's right there in front of you. In 2 months, I can have that most amazing of trophies.
Right.
I got to go, and there's no distractions. Now, there are guys that don't like the pressure of it, and falter in it. But for the most part, it's I don't know. In my world, it was always easier to play, and yes, there's intimidation. But if you're intimidated, that's why we would play Philly, I think 3 times in my career. I loved playing there in the playoffs. Loved it. Yeah. They wanted to murder you, literally. The fans were that wild. It was great.
Like, can you by the way, I've always been curious about this, because just optically it looks this way. I'm curious what it looks like to a player. I don't know what it is, and maybe it's just based on stereotype and reputation from when I was a kid watching the Broad Street Bullies. But when you put on that Flyers sweater, do they not look bigger?
Yep. Yeah. They do.
Like, honestly, I don't know what it is. It makes no sense logically.
So Lindros looked like he was 6'7", 250.
Insane, right?
Mid-90s were not
all did. Yeah, no kidding. That was rough. Yeah, but like, look, I think that, you know, similar to what Treliving always said, Mark Bergevin always had the line: there are players that get you there, and there are players that get you through. You know, there are a lot of guys that can get you to game 82. Who's going to get you to game 83 on? And you're right, it's different. And we're starting to see, and maybe the best example is one that I just raised a second ago in that Montreal-Washington series with Tom Wilson on Alexander Carrier. Like, that's a case of, I forgot this is how we play now. Right? Like, that's a big, once upon a time, like Tom Wilson is like, one of I don't know, a dozen guys that play that way in the NHL. Rhett, when you played, how many did you have on your team?
Yeah, there were
Probably 3 or 4 running around. It's just like, it is like now to me, the thing that makes playoff hockey so fascinating is like the contrast between regular season and playoffs is stark. It looks so different. Every hit is for keeps. And you got to always remind yourself of who's out there and who's going to do what. To me, the difference is it's not even night and day. It's chalk and cheese. That's how different it is between the regular season and the playoffs.
Having her chalk and cheese. I don't want to taste chalk. I like that analogy. Okay, so the East is lining up for shorter series. West is real close. Is there anyone in the East down 3-1 that can pull this off? Like, I kind of think, Montreal, you're a little ahead of schedule. How exciting for your team. Don't see it happening. Ottawa going to take a Herculean run. Maybe if you can get it deep enough, the Leafs implode and get into their own head. Is anything out East? Maybe Tampa?
That would be the only one for me, because I've always said, it's the fool that bets against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Don't sleep on Tampa. They've been through so much. It's a veteran team. There's so much skill, like all of it. But the Florida Panthers are just running all over them. They're just like feeding them their lunch every single night here. But I don't quit on a team that has, Kucherov and Vasilevsky and Braden Point and keep going on, traveling all-star team here. If there's one, well, actually there is 2.
Okay.
You'll like this. There's 2. There's the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Toronto Maple Leafs.
The Leafs are up 3-1, and you like them.
That's what I'm saying. The Toronto Maple Leafs could
beat
take
themselves
out of this. If history is any teacher,
right,
whatsoever, if the Maple Leafs are gonna lose this series, it's gonna be because of the Toronto Maple Leafs. With all due respect to the Ottawa Senators, it's not gonna be because of the Ottawa Senators. It's gonna be because of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Okay, so then let's move to the West. Minnesota Vegas has been a little under the radar, probably for folks out East, because their later starts. They have the one crazy 11 p.m. Eastern start, which works out here, but is not ideal for you folks.
Can I pause on that for 1 second?
Yeah, fire.
Can I pause it for 1 second? Because I'm one of the idiots that stays up till stupid o'clock to watch everything. Yeah. And in the last 5 years in the NHL in the regular season, so I'm always like looking at things like, that old saying about boxing, styles make fights, great complementary styles make for great fights. We just had like the 40th anniversary of Hagler and Hearns not too long ago, which was the greatest of all time, the best 3 rounds ever. But if you look at the last 5 years in the NHL, the 2 teams that mix the best, that always produce great games, has been Minnesota Vegas. Like, when this became the matchup, I'm like, don't sleep on this. This is going to be incredible hockey. And it has been. Like, I know there was that one blowout, but still, like, stylistically, and I don't know what it is, but the Minnesota Wild and the Vegas Golden Knights, those 2 teams make the best games in the NHL, period. Now, Vegas has great games with a lot of teams. Vegas has great games with Dallas. Vegas has great games with Colorado. When San Jose was a relevant team, they had great games against San Jose. But there's no better combination in the NHL than Minnesota Vegas.
Winner tonight will be up 3-2. It's in Vegas. Minnesota had a lead in the third, albeit 2-1, which isn't comfy. We've seen the Kings blow leads much bigger than that after 40 minutes. Who do you like to close it out?
I mean, I still like Vegas. I liked Vegas to begin with. I think that anything that Minnesota does now is gravy. We're going to start to see the real Minnesota Wild team next year when they're out of salary cap hell. Right. Like, when they get out of salary cap jail next year, you're going to start to finally see what a Minnesota Wild team can be, which is why anything now is just bonus for Minnesota. I would love to see it, because I did a lot of players on that team, and that Kaprizov-Boldy combination is just so special. And I'm a big fan of Brock Faber, like we all are, but I'm going to have a really hard time wrapping my head around Minnesota. Like, Minnesota needed to strangle them early, like take them out into deep water and just like, okay, we're going to tread water here, try to keep up with us. And when that didn't happen, I said, okay, Vegas is just too skilled. Too many playoff scars. Battle bodies, right? Battle hardened. That's a better way to put it. I just can't see Vegas losing this one. I'll take Vegas in this series, though.
Do you feel similarly about the Oilers? Because I feel like if the Kings were going to win quick and get it done early, would have been the move here, because they've breathed some life into this Oilers team that was significantly outplayed in LA in these first 2 games.
Absolutely. That you know what's funny, because I looked at the I looked at game 3 and I thought, okay, you know what? Maybe this is going to switch the Oilers' way with that horrible Jim Hiller call, that goalie interference call, which we all looked at and said, like,
are you brain dead?
What are you doing? Like, there's no way your video coach is saying, challenge that. Like, there's nothing like that a video coach is going to say, I'm going to hang my reputation and my job on saying, Jim, make that. Like, I'm very much of the belief that that's probably a solo album that the coach is cutting at that moment, right? Like, I'm leaving the band behind here. I'm going out on my own. I thought, you know what? Maybe that's where the series turns. And then LA came out and dominated Edmonton in game 4 early. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe I got to stop with all this momentum from game to game. Marek, you're so full of it, looking for stories that aren't there. And then I saw Quentin Byfield try to skate the puck out of his own zone instead of a simple little chip. I know. And I'm just like, okay, no, wait a minute. If it goes the Oilers' way and the Kings squander this opportunity, it's going to be because of that tiny little play. That's where I'm at now with this series. If LA is going to do this, they can't be the sit back LA Kings. Like, I still think LA can do this. Like, I don't think that Edmonton
been the better team
and roll out. Yeah, but I just don't know that they believe
they get a lead.
Yeah, I just like, I get that their default setting is get on your heels and defend, but that's been a fool's errand the last couple of games. Like, you just can't do that. And if there's one team that can hurt you suddenly, it's the Edmonton Oilers. And
it might be the one team you can't do that to, Jeff, right?
You can't. I know, because of all the teams that can, like, literally score their way out of problems, it's Edmonton. And it's Draisaitl and it's McDavid. It's Corey freaking Perry. You talk about guys that get you there and guys that get you through. I mean, Claude Lemieux was the poster child for that for so long. It's Corey Perry now. It's Corey Perry now. Corey Perry's just like, you know, I just got to be healthy for game 83. I'm going to get through a season. It's long here. I'm going to manage myself and manage my body and make sure I have some juice left here for the squeeze in the playoffs. How good does Perry look playing with 97 and 29?
Really good.
And who said that? And who said that throughout the year? The difference for the Oilers' top line here could be Corey Perry, but there it is with the future Hall of Famer. Well, I think that they what's that, Rhett? Sorry.
Just curious your thoughts on Evan Bouchard as well, because I took some cheap shots at him last week, and then he goes out and puts up a bunch of points, but still gets scored on. Like, that's a tough read.
So, I was having this conversation with someone a few months ago who brought up a really good point about Evan Bouchard. This is on ice. He said Evan Bouchard may be one of the rare guys in the history of the game where he's more valuable in arbitration than he is in free agency. That his ARB number will give him a bigger payday than his free agency would, because of his counting stats are so great.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's the thing about Evan Bouchard. You know, it was kind of this way with Brian McCabe for a long time in his career, that there'd be a few defensive gaffes, and you see that with Evan Bouchard, but he's got the shot and he gets you right back. You know, and in an era where defensemen mainly shoot for rebounds or just try to sift it through a screen, here's a guy that just bombs away. Like, he's old school, like Shea Weber style, and he's scoring from distance. And like, he's a major factor. And the one thing that we pointed at, and this is the Oilers coming off of, you know, a couple of years ago when Tyson Barrie anchored the power play, they have a legitimate shooting threat at the top on the power play that you have to respect. You have to respect. Before, it was just like, you know, Barry's not going to be firing this thing. It's just going to be all distribute. Now you have to respect that shot from up top. I mean, I think, Rhett, I'm with you. I look at the defensive gaffes and I say, oh man, I don't know about this. And then 2 back scratch and rock and roll slap shots later, and the Edmonton Oilers are right back in this thing. So
he's
take the good with the bad.
Was it the Reich block, or what's that word where they show you the ink stains and you see what you want to see?
Rorschach test. Yeah, Rorschach test. Yeah.
He's a bit of that for hockey, right? Because it's like,
see what you want.
Because he 13 shots, 4 goals last 2 games, -1. Like, it's.
But that's why. But that's what this person said. Like, he's more valuable in ARB than he is in free agency. Yeah. Like, how many players can you say that's true about?
Not many. Okay, so we'll keep moving through the West.
Okay.
Where are you at on Winnipeg, and what in the world's going on with Connor Hellebuck and or the Jets defensively?
Boy, how long do we have here? How long until my show's on? Because we could wind this one up for a while and go Broadway. Much like the regular season is different for players, it's different for goalies as well. And the nice thing about playoffs is all of your faults get exposed. Like there's no lies. There's no lies in the playoffs. Like playoffs reveal who you are as a player. It's one of the reasons why we love them, right? You know who's scared. You know who really wants to play. You know who's quit and when they've quit, either as individuals or a team. You find out a lot about an athlete in situations like this. And the one thing, like, this isn't just me. Like I am by no means a goalie expert whatsoever. I default to like the Kevin Woodleys and Mike McKenna, who was on Morning Cup of Hockey yesterday. I had Carter Hutton on yesterday because I think we're all having the same question. Is this, are we going to do this again? Right. Are we doing this again with this guy that just keeps on grabbing Vezina trophies, gobbling them up like Pac-Man, and then falls apart in the playoffs? And, goaltending experts will tell you he gets locked into his edges quickly. And you saw that on the Robert Thomas goal. Like, I would fully expect now the St. Louis Blues to be making more quick moves in tight to expose that he gets locked in on his skates. Now, a lot of that has to do with the defensemen around him. It's funny. I remember talking to Hellebuck at All-Star, and he said, look, like I'm still the same guy. Like I'm the same guy that I've ever been. I'm the exact same goaltender. The difference, and this is why everyone's talking about Vezina with me right now, is my defense. There are no surprises for me. I know where the shots are coming from. Like there's no surprises, and playoffs are different. And as much as Hellebuck might, fall on the sword and say, no, this is me, this is me, this is me, I still believe that some of this is on the Winnipeg Jets blue line. And what was the big question we all had about the Winnipeg Jets blue line going into the playoffs? Are they big enough to handle the postseason?
Right.
And in 3 of the 4 games, and the goaltender is the one that's hanging for it. And I'm sure he will not shirk responsibility at all and say like, no, this isn't them, this is me. But I don't think his blue line is helping him out much at all. Whether it's, and Mike McKenna was showing this on the point shot, how Josh Morrissey, chases across the crease and provides a second screen in front of Hellebuck. Right. And you saw Scott O'Neill after the game talking about things like, we need to make sure that he can see the puck. We need to get out of the way. Like, just let that player go. He's not in a harmful spot. Let your goalie handle that shot. Mike McKenna was interesting talking about, doesn't have very active hands. And what you see then is a goaltender fade back. Like when you're kind of getting bombed like that, you start playing deeper and deeper in your crease, and you're starting to see that with Connor Hellebuck. Man, I'll tell you what, I still go back with Hellebuck, but it might just be for one game. Like if it happens again, like honestly, like if he gets the hook one more time,
you've lost 3 in a row.
How do you not grow with Eric? He got yanked 2 games in a row. There was that moment in that game on Sunday where he let in 3 goals on 3 shots, and you're just looking to yourself and you're saying, man, is the roof on the rink starting to cave in around him? And how small does that round little black thing look for Connor Hellebuck? It's a tough look, man. But to me, the Robert Thomas goal was the one. Like, it became really, really obvious. And it's a really simple move by a highly skilled player, but it's a simple come in on the right side, right shot, go right to left and tuck it in. Hellebuck doesn't move. Like, that's a goalie that's so locked in on his edges that he can't budge. It's tough. I really feel for the guy.
Last series out west is Dallas, Colorado. We saw a pretty dominant Colorado performance with all the good feels of Landeskog scoring to tie the series at 2. And then last night, some wonky bounces to start, and the Stars romp. We still get a long series here.
Yeah. This one's been I don't know. This one's a toilet seat at a Stag and Doe. Up and down, up and down, up and down. Like Colorado blows out Dallas. Dallas blows out Colorado. What do we get? I have no idea what we're getting next game.
Yeah.
There's just so many stars on both sides. Mackenzie Blackwood had an awful game yesterday.
Bad bounces early, bad goals.
The Wyatt Johnson, when I heard you talking about that, goalies have told me, like, I always tell my kids now, because I think a lot of it has to do with post play.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Rhett, like you saw guys, like when you play, like goalies would like hug the post and stand up. Now we're seeing the RVH, and I tell my kids, and everybody knows this, it's a Jack Hughes play. When you see it, when you're on the side and the goalie's in his RVH, shoot at the head. Like, you might bounce it in. Like, he's locked into that position. You have room there. I mean, the knuckleball that goes straight up in the air and goes off his name bar and in, like, hockey, hockey happens. It's kind of how I chalk that up. But I love this series because I really don't know from game to game what's going to happen, which players are going to show up. I am absolutely in love with the Landeskog story because he's my favorite player. Like, I cannot be neutral and unbiased about Gabe Landeskog. He's been my favorite player since he was a captain of the Kitchener Rangers back in the OHL days. So I'm a complete journalistic fraud when it comes to Landeskog. But I love it.
No, that's the thing.
But what's not to like about him? Like, I remember that going back to Kitchener when he beat the brakes off Jake Muzzin, a game against Sault Ste. Marie. He was like 16 years old. Muzzin was like 19. It's like, kid, you're biting off more than you can chew. Next thing you know, we're crowning a new heavyweight champion in the OHL. Like, he's great skill. He's tough, like all of it. And I always wonder about, okay, Rhett, can I personalize this one to you? Can I personalize the question to you about Gabriel Landeskog? Of all the players that you've played with, dressed with, played against, how many of them, if they went through the same thing that Landeskog has gone through, 3 years, how many of them along the way just would have said, it's not going to happen. I can't keep doing this. I've got X millions in the bank. I got my Stanley Cup. I've got
kids and family at home.
Mm-hmm. Right. I've got all of it. I got everything laid, and still I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to quit. It's like Forsberg trying to find the magical skate. I'm not going to quit. I'm not.
Yeah, I know about that surgery. I need shoulder replacements, and I randomly heard about cartilage replacement for her, and I'm like, well, you dig into it, and they talk to you about it. And I don't even think they would do it for the shoulders. But the point I'm making was that surgery I'd heard of and know what you can't do, and it's basically nothing. You can't do anything.
Yeah,
forever.
Immobilized. Yeah.
You're immobilized to get through that. How many guys? Iggy?
I was going to say, I can think of one.
Iggy?
Yeah.
You have to be psychotic to get through what he just got through.
Yeah. And you also have to be of the belief that the positive belief that it's going to work. Like,
right.
I was injured and you have surgery and you'd spend a month and you'd think you're getting better, and then you'd have a setback and you're ready to throw in the towel then.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like, how many times over and over, it's like, this isn't working.
Two training camps. We're talking about Landeskog maybe coming back.
Now, I think in his head, when he had the surgery, he knew at least 1 year there's nothing. Like, because 100%. Of the surgery, and I know that it's like, you're not, wasn't a consideration. But to answer your question, not very many. Not very many, especially once you've won, once you've got the money, your family and kids, you do start to think about the future. You're out that long. We played Chicago in the playoffs, and I'd hardly played that year. And then there was talk that I was going to play. And long story short, I was scared shitless in a way, because I'm like, I haven't played for a year. Mm-hmm. The speed of this game is going to be staggering when I step on the ice. And he did it. He did it. Yeah. Like, there's a mental toughness that you're nervous about games to begin with, especially when they matter in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You don't want to screw it up. This is a guy with already a lore behind him, right? Like, he was the captain and guys love. Well, you don't want to ruin that by trying to do something that maybe you can't. But
see, this is like all those things that we all say we love about hockey. We see in Gabe Landeskog.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't quit. Don't change. Keep fighting. Make them drag you off the ice. This is why I love Peter Forsberg. And there was a lot of, you're diminishing your stature in the game. Oh, you're not playing the same. And I kept saying to myself, like, this whole idea that, like, you have to leave the stage while the audience is still clapping, like, that's ridiculous. Make them drag you off the ice. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, that's how these guys are wired. Right? Like, that's why I always say, like, ask players. Don't ask guys like me. Ask players. like what this means. Ask the guys that have done that. And this is the thing that we all say that we support, whether you're an Avalanche fan or not, whether you hate the Colorado or not, it doesn't matter. Like what you're seeing with Gabe Landeskog is what we always talk about, the lesson of sports. We're seeing it in this one guy. And that's, we started off this conversation by talking about toughness, two kinds of toughness. There's imposing your physicality on someone else. And then there's a toughness being able to endure something, both mentally and physically, the likes of which we're seeing with Gabe Landeskog, which to me might be more impressive.
It's Bobby Bond with a broken leg. It's like this
100%. Yeah.
And we had Dubnyk on yesterday. He's got a new show on Oilers Nation. And of course, guy that was first rounder by the Oilers. And he said he was there for like 5 games one year at the very end. And he was like, yeah, there's some big personalities in that room. Like there's Nathan McKinnon. There's, at that point, I think Cale Makar would be sort of a second, third year player. So he's got a bit of a voice. And he's like, oh, like Landeskog was the man. Like there was no the buck stopped with him and everyone knew it in the whole room. And he looked like he was on the cover of GQ. He points out, you're like, okay, like the guy's totally the man. And as you just pointed out, both of you, it's like this surgery is as daunting as they get. Period. Stop. There's not a longer recovery we've seen. The only 2 guys that have missed this much time and come back to the NHL went to war. Like it's incredible what he's gone through here. And the last game he played, he lifted the cup. There was your.
I know, right?
You didn't have to come back at all. It's incredible.
I know. Rocky Marciano, undefeated champion. Go on. But here's the thing. Like I started in this industry in 1994. And you know what? I've learned one thing. There's only one thing I can tell you that 100% I know about hockey. And it's only one thing. And that is this. You cannot lie to players. Players know. Players know who belongs. Players know who's phony. Players know who's legit. Players know who and what to respect. Honestly, Ryan, it is the only one thing that I can tell you I know for sure. You can't lie to players because they know. And they know how good Landeskog is. They all know.
You could see it when he scored that goal. I hope we get
awesome
in that series. Let's go. I'm not done with Dallas, Colorado yet. Let's go. Make it 7, please. What's coming up on the sheet today? What do you got?
It's Tuesday, so it's Greg Wyshynski from ESPN, and yes, it's going to be a lot of the obvious stuff about things that we just talked about. For example, like with Aaron Ekblad, we'll probably talk about what happened to Zemgus Girgensons and Nico Mikkola and the nature of that series. I would imagine too that there'll be something to do with the coaching carousel, which just had another interesting log thrown on the fire with Mike Sullivan, now ex of the Pittsburgh Penguins.
I haven't told Rhett the nominees yet, but just tell us the winner of the Norris, not your second and third place guys.
Winner of the Norris this year will be Cale Makar.
Okay. Thanks, buddy. Have a great show. All hell, Cale.
Thanks, boys. Be good.
Jeff Marek from The Sheet. Hey, guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out more of our content right here on the Flames Nation YouTube page. We had a bunch of great long-form interviews. You can check out some videos we've done as well outside of the studio. And, of course, if you want more writing or merchandise stuff, flamesnation.ca or nationgear.ca. Appreciate you watching.